Actual results may vary as they are dependent on several external factors. A statement in this regard has been included in the result presentation sent to you earlier. We will commence the call with the management taking you through the operational and financial performance of the period under review, following which we will have an interactive Q&A session. I would now like to invite Mr. Arora to commence the presentation. Over to you, Rajneesh.
Thanks, Kshitij. I welcome everyone to this Q3 earnings call of Digispice Technologies. As you're all aware that our key focus within Digispice is to build our rural fintech business, which is under the brand name Spice Money. At Spice Money, our approach is to keep the rural customer and a rural enterprise in the center, and using digital technologies and the various stacks available, solve multiple problems of the customer. One of such problems that we've seen progress with is solving the access of a banking of the rural customer. This business we've been able to scale, find a product market fit, and are scaling right now. In this particular business, we are using India stack in general and the Aadhaar stack in particular to be able to provide this service to the rural customers. This is a growing market, and within that, we've been growing our market share. Having said that, there are multiple opportunities and need gaps that we see within the rural India. The solutions to these problems or the opportunities, the approach is to take a grounds-up approach, which means look at the specific problem statements and find specific solutions for the rural customers, and that's what we are right now focusing on. Some of these solutions at a very early stage of POC, and some of them have moved from a pilot to at a pilot stage to ready to go into scale up. We will keep coming back to you and updating you in terms of what progress we are making on those. Today's presentation is a short one, very focused on the Spice Money or the rural fintech business. People who are joining us for the first time, I would urge you to look at our earlier presentations, the previous investor presentations, where we've also talked more in detail about what our vision is on the Spice Money business and the various initiatives that we are taking around them. Let's just begin with the presentation. Yeah, can we blow this up, please? Thank you. So this slide talks about the consolidated financial summary of Digispice Technologies, which is the listco. As you've seen, at a consolidated level, our revenue has grown to 248 crores this quarter, which is approximately 5% QOQ growth and 34% YOY growth. And within that, you can see that this growth is driven by the rural fintech business, which is Spice Money, whose revenue has grown from 203 crores. When we look at the gross margin, at a console level, the gross margin is static at 43 crores quarter on quarter. However, at a Spice Money level, this margin has grown from 30 to 35 crores. So again, this is being driven by Spice Money. When we look at the EBITDA at a consolidated level, we are EBITDA positive. We've been EBITDA positive for last few quarters, a couple of years. And this is despite us investing very aggressively into growth of the rural fintech business. Out of a consolidated EBITDA of 5 crores, 7 crores is contributed by Spice Money. And at the bottom, you can see that the Spice Money contribution to total revenue is now about 86%, and its contribution to gross margin is about 81%. We do see, as Spice Money grows further, this trend to continue, which means that Spice Money is likely to contribute more and more to the overall consolidated numbers. I would now request Vivek, who's the CFO of Spice Money, to take forward the presentation, please.
Thanks, Rajneesh. Good afternoon to everyone, and a big thank you for joining this call. We hope to make this call as informative as possible. Can you please blow up the slide, please? Sorry, the previous slide, can you just blow it up? Previous slide. Yeah. So like Rajneesh mentioned, taking cue from what Rajneesh mentioned, Spice Money continues to be a significant contributor to the Digispice group. So the focus of the presentation will be largely on Spice Money. Some of these slides and the presentations would look very similar to the previous quarters. This is because of the fact that we remain very focused on our business model geared towards rural India, providing solutions to the rural customers through our entrepreneur network. And we continue to manage and grow metrics which are key to our business model, which you will see in the slides that will be presented. Now, coming back to the slide, this is a slide which we presented last time. This slide encapsulates the entire business model, the current business model of Spice Money. So if you really look at it, these are some of the key metrics which drive our business model, starting with customer GTV, then service revenue, service fee from gross margin, and EBDT. The key metrics have been highlighted, for your reference, and then the margins below have also been highlighted. So if you really look at it, we continue our momentum in on the customer GTV growth. We've grown around 13.4% QOQ and 83.6% YOY, continuing with the momentum we had last quarter. And in terms of the overall revenue, while the overall revenue QOQ has grown by 5.3%, the critical element to look at here is the service fee revenue, which has grown by 12.1%. And the reason why we look at service fee revenue is the airtime revenue, while it is a significant contributor to the revenue line, also the margin from this business is quite minuscule. Hence, we focus on service fee revenue, which is largely from the cash in and cash out transactions which the customers do on our platform through our entrepreneurs. Now, if you look at gross margin, again, we've grown at a total, gross margin level, we've grown it healthy by around 16.3% quarter on quarter. And the service fee gross margin has also increased by around 10.8%. There has been an increase in indirect cost, primarily because we've been investing in growth, people, systems, branding, and we continue to invest in this brand, which we feel very confident about. And the fact that we've been able to generate positive, operating leverage gives us the confidence to invest more into the business. EBITDA stayed flattish, and EBDT, which basically considers the interest income we earn on the float money which the entrepreneurs keep on network, that is also increased by around 2%. While we've shown EBITDA and EBDT, on this slide, I want to reiterate that our focus is largely on the top line growth at this stage, given that we are still investing for future. But the good part is, despite investing for future, we continue to be positive on the bottom line. Now, if you look at all our key metrics in terms of margins, the service fee revenue as a percentage of GTV, service fee GM as a percentage of customer GTV, and service fee GM as a percentage of service fee revenue, which are very critical to our operating leverage, have stayed flattish to the previous quarter, which means that we've been able to achieve this growth without significantly, compromising on our margins. And most importantly, I think a lot of this is a multitude of factors which have contributed to it. Our growth in Adhikari base has resulted in growth in customer GTV. Customer GTV has resulted in growth in service fee revenue and in turn margins. Like what I mentioned, this is a positive, operating leverage business, generating positive cash, for us to invest in our future business model. So I'm getting this, message that this is not audible. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide, please. So this is another slide which we presented in the past. And the good part is that, like what we said, fundamental to our business model, our Adhikari base has grown quarter on quarter. We've added about 1 lakh Adhikaris in the last quarter. Plus our service fee revenue has also grown double digit. So this is the 7th quarter in succession where we've been able to achieve double digit revenue growth. So it's a very clear indication that the incremental network that we add contributes to our business, and we're able to get them to transact on our network and get transactions from the network and also increase our revenue. Next slide, please. So here again, it's a reflection of the key metrics. If you look at our, again, Adhikaris, we've increased by almost 100,000 a quarter, which means that we add more than 1,000 Adhikaris every day, which is a very significant number. And we feel that with more focus on our distribution strategy, we'll be able to add this at a much faster pace and probably be the most dominant network in the rural fintech space. The second thing, like what we discussed, the GTV is basically classified into two, which is the customer GTV and the entrepreneur GTV. The focus is on customer GTV because that is revenue accretive for us, has grown 13% QOQ and 84% YOY. The difference between the two is customer GTV is the value of transactions which the customers do on our Adhikari network, the entrepreneur network, and the entrepreneur GTV is basically what the entrepreneur does on our network, primarily to move excess funds on his wallet to his bank account. We ensure that we price is very nominal so that we don't make much money from this entrepreneur GTV. Our primary focus is actually the customer GTV. And if you look at the the market share, we've been consistently growing QOQ. And for YTD ended December 21, we're happy to state that we continue to retain our market share, leadership position in market share on AEPS. We're at 16.1%. And I think if you look at the graph, it is very clear that we've been able to outpace the industry growth, right? The various factors, contribute to this. The fact that we've been able to add entrepreneurs to our platform, we've been able to give them good service, for the service quality, and the ability for us to generate success for the entrepreneur also has contributed to our increasing market share. Next slide, please. From here, I'll hand over to Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, who's the CEO and co-founder of Spice Money, to talk further on Spice Money business strategy.
Thanks, Vivek. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Before I get into the next few slides, which I want to talk on the business strategy, I want to begin with saying that we are very, very bullish. We remain bullish on this segment of rural India. We remain committed to building the largest fintech platform for rural India. And that's a story that hasn't changed, and we just continue to remain more committed as time is going by. Can we zoom the slides, Neil, please? So while we've discussed the financials in the last few slides, what I want to touch base upon here now is, given the fact that we remain bullish in rural India, we continue to invest behind growth. We are very confident in the way the last 7 quarters, the momentum that we've seen, we believe the opportunity is phenomenal. We believe we are standing at a very, very good opportunity to take a pole position here. And that's something that we want to continue. And that's one of the focus areas for us as we build Spice Money. We're building on the network. We're building more, trying to add more products and services onto the network, which allows the Adhikari to do more and more with us, which means more transactions. Hence, it gets an opportunity for more customers to get service on our platform, and obviously then gives us more and more data, which can help us to, again, redesign products, services for our consumers. We continue to remain a positive unit economics business model, and like Vivek said, continue to be a bit positive for the last 7 quarters. Next, please. Yeah. This slide hasn't changed. We presented it in the earlier earnings call, but let me take this opportunity to reiterate this. So what are we doing? What is the business model? We're building a platform for rural India, and we call it a phygital super app. So what does this mean in very simple words? That we put a consumer in the center, and we've written down all the use cases of a consumer, and we put them into different buckets. And there are about 8 buckets that we've called them, like basic banking, payments, financial services, travel, entrepreneurship services for his business, government services, healthcare, and e-commerce. And we believe that if I can get all of these products and services onto a platform, and if we can build a network of entrepreneurs who are the Spice Money Adhikaris at every district, block, gram panchayat, then why does the consumer have to step out of the village? So we're trying to solve this. We've been able to get, so basic banking is something that we've led with. It's an ongoing journey, but we've been doing reasonably well, like the way numbers are showing. Payments is another one that we're live with. So basic payments is live. Financial services is the others which are not live will go live in coming few quarters. Travel again is a separate call out that we've done. We've identified travel as an opportunity, an adjacent opportunity to Spice Money, and we've done that. Entrepreneur solutions is another one that we've already gone live with. Next, please. If I go further to this slide, Nehal, please, next one. If I extend the previous slide of building a phygital super app, and let me take the opportunity to explain that again. So what, in simple words, on one side, there are product manufacturers like banks, insurance companies, NBFCs, travel companies, government itself, who want to access rural India, but are unable to access rural India. There is a consumer in rural India and a vast segment, right? Roughly about 1 billion, who lacks this access. What is Spice Money trying to do? Spice Money is trying to come in between, is to create, can I bridge this? Using technology and using entrepreneurs. So if you look at this slide, in the center is where we come in. These are our entrepreneurs who are powered by a Spice Money app, on which, on one side, we're getting the product manufacturers, their products onto this platform. And through these entrepreneurs who are technically savvy, right, now they are providing services to the consumers in rural India. This is, in simple words, this is a model. In this process, there are 3 building blocks, which is the core of building Spice Money. And first of them is what I spoke about right now, this access and engagement. Access and engagement at every district, block, gram panchayat level. Second, our technology platform, again, very robust. It's an open API architecture led, which means you have the ability to scale up the platform quickly, plug in a lot of products and services quickly. And in this process, what we do is there's a lot of data that rides here. Rides from both ends, the entrepreneurs who are doing this business with us and from the consumers. It helps us to redefine a lot of products that we want to make for rural India. Rural India, as I continue to say earlier presentation, is a bottoms-up business model, which means you need to design products, understanding the consumer needs there. And this is what enables us. These are insights that give us on what are the products and services that we can build for rural India. Next slide here. Through the slide, we take immense pride to say that if you look at this deck, this is what represents Spice Money. A very, very professional leadership team. And I would want to believe in this category, probably the finest human capital team in this space. Again, a reflection of building a set of leadership team here who is very passionate, who comes from a very, very strong pedigree, domain expertise, but entrepreneurship driven. Come here to solve the problem of access for rural India. We continue to invest in such leadership. We've onboarded few of them in the last quarter and before that, and we remain committed to build a very world-class human capital team at Spice Money. Well, that's it from my side. Thank you. Kshitij, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now start with the question and answer session. Before we begin, I would just like to bring to your notice that due to some technical issue, we've got entries from different names. Hence, I would kindly request you all to introduce yourselves before asking your questions. To get in the question queue, I would request you to click on the raise hand option on Zoom, and then we can take your questions. We have the first question from Saket Kapoor. Saket, kindly unmute yourself. Thank you.
Neil, please unmute Saket.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Namaskar, sir. And now you can hear me? Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity, sir, firstly. Sir, looking at firstly the landscape of the business opportunity, if you could elaborate what kind of business opportunities are there in the annual, and how is the company preparing itself for the for capturing the growth opportunities henceforth?
So let me answer that, Rajesh, and you can fill in. Saketji, so like I said in my model, that we're trying to solve the problem of access for rural India. So rural India consumer didn't have access to basic banking, basic payments, right? There is a segment who's not digitally savvy. He needs assistance. Not like us sitting in Mumbai, who probably are digitally active and can use smartphones. They're not very savvy. Most of them don't even have smartphones. And hence we started with this whole concept of basic banking and payment, wherein a consumer would otherwise walk 25 kilometers to access his basic banking of cash deposit or cash withdrawal at a bank branch. Today, he does that at the doorstep of his village. That's one. Likewise, today, he needs assistance. He would have to walk 20 kilometers to go to pay his bills. He doesn't have to do that. He does that at our outlet. So basic access problem statement is what we're trying to solve. We've solved for a few of the services. We'll continue to solve for more as we progress in the entire financial services domain and other digital services.
Saket, do you have any other questions? Can you please unmute Saket?
Yeah, you can hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, so with this, the concept which you have just extrapolated, that we will be looking to people who unbanked people and the people who are away from technology. But sir, going forward with the type of digital drive that is happening in the country for reasons best known to all of us, so what then with the type of digital drive that is happening in all the space with 5G and Internet of Things becoming reality, are they not going to be a threat to the business model going forward? Since there will be, this generation, one can hope that coming now from 5 years down the line, there will be greater penetration of internet. There will be more people. The internet will be more affordable if we say so, or remain at these levels also. It will be very easier for the coming generation, the people who are today in their 10, 11, when they are 15 or 16 are using the banking facilities, they would be able to use the same through their own. So how will the differentiator happen that we will be a valid player in this segment going forward? And sir, for the technological part, sir, are we owning this technology ourselves, or who is our technology partner, and what kind of capex are we doing to keep our technology updated?
Sure. So, Saket, thank you so much. Let me answer the two questions. Maybe the third on technology, capex and all, I'll allow Vivek to answer that. First is the technology is ours. This is our own. This is our own product. We own the technology IP. It's in-house. Number one. On the business strategy model of rural India, because of so much of digital, drive happening, is rural India going to move towards a digital economy? Answer is yes. Will it move? What time is it going to take for digital adoption to increase to a level that we see in Mumbai and Delhi? Time will tell, but we definitely see it not in the near future. It's going to take some time. So we don't see a threat to our business model over the next at least 5 to 10 years. Needless to say, what we want to assure is that whenever that change happens, we will be part of that change. So the idea is of being a player committed to rural India is we also want to, in some ways, be part of that change, making rural India digitally and financially independent.
Right, sir. So for the peer comparison, can you give us some understanding at the other players in this segment who are operating with the same business model?
Rajnish, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, Saket, basically, I think if we say that we are a rural fintech, then who is the peer? I think to me, the answer is there is no peer. Okay. But if you say who are the people who are doing remittance, who are doing ATM business, etc., like the kind of products that we do or the business model where there is an entrepreneur in between and serving the customer, there are many players. So I think the key differentiator is the focus on the rural and the opportunity to go beyond what we are doing today to solve many more problems in rural. Okay. Case an example is in rural, if somebody needs a credit-worthy person, not having data to show that he's credit-worthy, needs a loan of 20,000 rupees in a village, that opportunity exists in the village far more and far deeper than what it exists in urban India because the access to infrastructure is there, right? So I think that is what our key differentiator is, the focus on the rural segment. Whether it is enterprises, we are focusing on enterprises which operate out of rural, like microfinance companies. And when it comes to customers, we are focused there. So from that perspective, we don't see any direct competition with that, with that focus.
Sir, on the loan part, what were you trying to explain, sir? I missed that part of the story. A credit-worthy person in a village.
Let me explain this. So what I'm saying is that, as Sanjeev said, that there are multiple need gaps in rural India. One of the examples of the need gap is there, and there are multiple. One of the examples is that a small merchant in a village, if he gets a 20,000 rupee loan, he can significantly change his earning model, right? He can add a couple of more categories, add more stock, and grow his livelihood. Now, this customer is today totally underserved. I mean, not served, I would say, right? Because the traditional financial institutions, for them to access a customer for 20,000 rupees, unsecured loan, it's too expensive for them to reach out to this customer. So technology has a role to play. Now, the question is whether the technology will be completely do it yourself. Like, can people just download an app and get access to all of this? I think that time is a bit far away. It will come, but there is a roadmap. There is a journey to reach there. I think there is a time in between in which people need some assistance and access, right? A case and example being, for example, in insurance, a leading fintech in the insurance web aggregation business is now saying that we need retail points to be able to engage with the customer, right? Pure digital after a point stops, right? So whenever there is a product which is a bit more complicated, right, the need for somebody in between who is not only able to fulfill but also make people understand and guide them to these products is needed. So I hope I'm able to answer that question.
Yes, Rajneesh.
No, is Saket online? Is he online?
No, I think he's muted himself again.
Okay.
So I think we'll take the next question from the line of Ashish Agarwal. Ashish, if you could please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, team. Gentlemen, I had a couple of questions, and I apologize if some of the answers would kind of overlap. So first, I would like to understand, how do you perceive the total addressable market? Of course, it's one thing that is the entire rural India, but if I have to look at it in terms of, like the transaction size and how much has been captured so far by, companies like ourselves, whether we call it business banking correspondents or money changers or Digispice. And if you could also throw some light as to like how many users that we have captured so far. Those are my first set of questions. The next set I'll just come in a moment.
Sure. So I think when you talk about the total addressable market, I think then we have to start dividing into the various need gaps, right? Because every need gap is a different market size. So if you talk about our leading product, which is AEPS, the market size today is about, I think, 3 lakh crores, somewhere around that number. And there are various studies which suggest that in the next 3 to 4 years, this number will grow to anywhere between 6 lakhs to 10 lakh crores. So there are two studies. One of them says 6 lakh crore, one of them says 10 lakh crores. And there are drivers to that happening. Basically, one of the key drivers to this happening is that there was a stage in rural where there was a completely cash economy, which means I'm receiving cash, I'm giving cash. So it was not even hitting bank accounts. Today, we are at a stage where lot money is moving into the bank accounts. However, the corresponding money is not getting digitally paid, right? So we are at that stage today. That is what we see more often. And this part is continuing to grow. So as more money starts to hit bank accounts, there is a need to, as of today, there is a need to withdraw and then pay out. For example, a farmer today started to receive his proceeds in the bank in a lot of cases, not in 100% cases, in a lot of cases. But when he has to pay out to his labor, which is his main spend, he has to take out cash and pay to them, right? So there is a need for cash withdrawal, which right now is significantly growing because one side of digitization is happening. So this is with respect to, for example, a cash withdrawal business. Now, it may happen through Aadhaar, it may happen through cards. Tomorrow, it will happen through UPI. And we are participating in that, all the bearers when it comes to that need gap, right? Then there is a certain need gap of, for example, enterprises. Let's pick up enterprises like microfinance who are making collections on the ground. And there we are participating in terms of helping them move cash to bank quickly, right? So there's a proposition that is there for them, right? So there again, we barely scratch the surface in terms of the total size of collections that happens today and how much of it has started to go through channels like us, right? We barely started, right? And then there are other products like, for example, bill payment, etc., on which we've seen significant growth over the last couple of years as more and more billers are getting onto the bill pay platform, which is the NPCI owned bill pay platform, and we are one of the license holders there. We see a lot of this action moving from people paying to the billers, to the biller offices through the bill pay platform because it's far more convenient, right? So there are different So I mean, at a high level, I would say that we barely scratch the surface in each of these total available markets. So there is huge potential to grow. And then there are few products which we are at a very early stage of solving, right? Few of them being insurance and credit and savings, etc., where again, the opportunity size is huge, but there are specific solutions that need to be arrived at before we move there. So I think net, I don't think it's a question of how big is the opportunity here. I think it's a question of, how we are able to find the product market fit for each of these and be able to scale. Like, for example, in the last couple of years, two pieces we picked up and scaled. One of them was a cash withdrawal opportunity, where earlier we began with the cash withdrawal through Aadhaar. And then we found that there is a lot of opportunity of people bringing their debit cards and wanting to withdraw. Again, multiple needs. And we created a product around it, and that scaled reasonably well over the last 2 years. We've been able to deploy very low-cost card swipe devices at these merchants, and they've been able to help the customers. Then we saw this need gap around enterprises in rural, a solution being needed for them. So that product we kind of piloted last financial year, and through this financial year that has been growing. So there are multiple solutions that we will keep bringing, and I think the opportunity is immense.
Thanks. That's extremely interesting. Do you also track data as to like how many end users are actually using your services? I mean, you've shared data on the number of adhikaris.
Yeah.
But if you could also throw some light on the the users that we are targeting, the data for which we are generating in-house or creating in-house.
Yeah. So we have served close to about 20 crore customers till now. People who have unique customers who have transacted on our platform. So this is the data point with respect to the end users.
And something on the repeat, what percentage would be repeating themselves?
So we have published, repeat metrics with respect to AEPS, how many repeat customers we've been growing with respect to the AEPS product in our past presentations. So we have seen a good traction of, repeat customers, basically customers coming back on the platform and transacting it again and again.
Got it. That's very interesting. I guess that's all from my side.
Another data point with respect to repeat. On a monthly basis, we see almost about 2/3 of the customers who are transacting being repeat and 1/3 being added new.
Oh, wonderful.
It's also a function of the growth that we are seeing on the platform, but a lot more traction of same customers coming because most of our products today are utility products.
Got it. Thanks. Wish you all the best. I'll get back in the queue. If I have an opportunity, I'll bring in more questions. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you. Before moving on, I would like to ask some questions from the chat that we've received. These questions are from Sanjay Otramani. And the first question is, what is the service charge percentage which is charged to adhikaris/customers? And is this charged on per transaction basis?
Okay, so most of the services we actually get paid from the product manufacturers. So whether it is cash withdrawal, the fees is paid by the customer's bank because we are providing a service to his customer. Similarly, if it is a top-up, bill pay, etc., the money comes in from the product manufacturers. There are very few exceptional services where actually the customer is charged, or in turn the adhikari is charged because he's charging from the customer. One of that product is remittance, where the customer pays a certain fee to remit cash to bank. But for us, that's not a very
your voice is. So I think let me just conclude so that what Rajesh is saying that business is a very low percentage of our overall business. So in nutshell, it is the product manufacturers who pay us transaction fees per transaction. That is what we share with our network.
One more exception when it comes to enterprises, like serving the enterprises are paying us a fee.
All right. The next question is, what is the average size of the transactions?
So again, it is service to service, but to put an average, it's anywhere between 2,500 to 3,000 rupees.
Thank you. We'll take the next question from the line of Manik Taneja. Manik, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Thank you. Manik? Okay, there seems to be some issue in Manik's line. So we will take the next question from the line of Nivesh Jain. Nivesh, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Nivesh.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sir, I just have some 3 basic questions. See, first, I just want to understand about the update about the JV with Targa. So where are we on this, and when can we expect the product launch on this, sir?
Yeah, so I'll come in. So So Nivesh,
Yeah,
so we're
yes,
in the
sir.
process of stitching our lending platform at this stage.
Okay.
And we'll surely come back to you with updates in the next couple of quarters.
Okay, so it may take a couple of hours. Okay. So then the next question is regarding this recent announcement by our finance minister with respect to digital banks. So what is our scope in that? Are we planning to apply for any digital bank, or what will be the role of Digispice over that, sir?
Yeah, sorry, who was that? Nivesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nivesh. So
yeah,
I think
please, sir, please.
Yeah, overall, I think we are excited by that announcement. And we are still awaiting more details for us to align our strategy with what has been called out. But we are very keen to participate in this journey.
Okay. Okay. Sir, the next thing is regarding this Corero platform. Can I just understand the major customers of Corero platform? Because it was discussed, it was launched last year, I guess, last financial year or last year.
Yeah.
So just want to understand the major customers. If you just look into the website, we have some Spice Money and another one is some insurance company. Just want to understand how the segment is growing.
Sure, Nivesh. So, Nivesh, we will not be able to comment upon very specific clients here. Okay, but it is at an early stage. We do have about 50 clients already onboarded onto the platform, and it has started contributing to the overall enterprise revenue, but it is at early stage right now.
Okay. So, and the last question is with respect to our newly launched travel union. So, how many adhikaris have registered for the same? So, can I just have the numbers, some approximate numbers? Is there any growth in registration on quarter comparison? Because that particular thing is being missing in the presentation.
So, so I think first point is that you're right. This is a product that was being recently started. While we did do a pilot launch somewhere in near September, in the last quarter we've been trying to stabilize the product and do a short pilot. We've seen a very, very good traction in our network, and we've got some big plans in this year. So you will get to see these numbers in our presentations in the coming quarters. But we're very excited about the opportunity.
Okay, sir. Sir, and last request, sir. Sir, can we have a monthly update from the Digispice, like operational updates, like what other fintech company used to share, so that it will boost investor confidence. Nothing else apart from that. See, rather than waiting for a quarterly, why can't we publish a monthly operational updates? This will boost investor confidence.
Sure. We surely take this as a feedback, and
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you. All the very best.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nivesh. We'll take the next question from the line of Manik Taneja. Manik, can you unmute yourself, please? Hello, Manik. Okay, I think we'll move on. In the meantime, I'll ask some more questions which have come up in the chat. These come from Pranav Mashruwala. His first question is, how many adhikaris are we planning to build a strength of? How many adhikaris per village or per 10,000 or 20,000 population?
Vivek, Rajesh, you want to take that?
So I think our approach here is that we are going to have, we are going to cover every village in the country. So there are about 6 lakh villages and 5,000 blocks. So we are going to cover, from a coverage perspective, the entire, every village and every block. When it comes to the linkage to the population, at a very high level, we have a number of 1 adhikari that we want to bring on the platform per 1,000 rural population. So that's the metric that we are chasing.
A follow-up to that is, out of the 9 lakh adhikaris, are all active through the year?
No, but we have we have a significantly good active ratio, considering that it's a digital product. If we compare with any other digital product, we do have a good active ratio. 100% of them are never active. Yeah. But one data point, which typically as digital, engagements that generally people monitor. So we have close to about 50% DAU upon MAU, which means that out of our total monthly active users, almost about 50% are also active daily. So within a monthly engagement, we have a significantly high engagement. A lot of our adhikaris work, almost every day on the platform. So the engagement is more deeper.
Right. So we've received a question from Manik Taneja in the chat. His question is, I wanted to check about the CPaaS business. We had some negative impact during the start of the year due to the DLT implementation. Could you talk about the trends that you are seeing in this business and what would be the scale of our business in the segment?
Yeah. So, Vinit, maybe you can talk about what how much does this contribute to the enterprise business as part of the total. But as a trend, the way we are thinking about scaling this business is on back of Corero, which means on a digital platform. One part of this business is commoditized, and which is something that we are not very excited about. But another part of the business is very exciting, which we are at early stage of building. Vinit, maybe you can talk about how this overall...
Yeah, thanks for giving me this opportunity. See, this DLT impact was a government initiative, and it had a negative impact in Q1. But by Q2, we saw the industry maturing and coming back to its previous figures. So by end of Q2, we were touching the Q4 figures again. And since then, Q3 has been a growth story. So DLT impact is now smoothened. That's how I'll conclude. And as we are adding more customers to enterprise, we don't see a larger impact of DLT increase. The impact of DLT is decreasing, in fact. But it has DLT has got a lot of discipline in the way the SMS languages are done by the enterprise. So it's a good thing to happen, and the DLT impact is a past story now.
Thank you, Vineet. We will take the next question from the line of Abhimanyu Thakkar. Abhimanyu, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, Abhimanyu, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, team. Thank you for this opportunity. I just had one question. Since Spice Money is scaling, the advertising expenses are likely to increase going forward. So, like any other platform, so what are the plans for promotion and branding, and any particular percentage to sales have been decided?
Vivek, you want to take that?
So clearly, I think as a new brand, our focus is to invest on branding. You would have seen quite a bit of brand initiatives which happened last year with our Abhiyan campaign and with our brand ambassador. We don't really plan for any percentage of total sales or earnings as advertisement revenue. While we watch the line pretty closely, our focus is basically to invest behind brand or advertisement campaigns which create significant brand value for us, right? So we really, while we have a the established calendar in terms of specific product promotions or offering promotions from time to time, the brand campaigns basically are calibrated, curated for an opportunity, and whenever there is a major offering that is going to hit the market, right, then we plan it accordingly, and then we do the branding campaigns. So really, we don't put a number to it at this point in time, but we ensure that we manage the spends with maximum impact.
Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Yeah, Kshitij, there's a follow-up question from Mayank. Can you read that question?
Yes, we have a follow-up question from Manik. Do we have a multi-channel approach on the CPaaS side, or are we primarily an SMS-focused player?
Okay. See, that's the beauty of Karoro. It's meant to be multi-channel. So definitely, the offering to any enterprise is much more than SMS. SMS voice is growing. Emails are growing. We are also offering WhatsApp chat and Telegram chats. But the fact remains that SMS continues to grow faster than the parallel channels that we have. And SMS continues to dominate the entire business. But we have a dedicated team which are focusing on channels other than SMS. And that portion, we believe that going forward, that will continue to make more and more inroads. So we started with only SMS. Now we have multi options available and offered to our enterprise customers.
Thank you, Vineet. We'll take the next question from the line of Yash Mehta.
Hi,
Yash?
thanks for the opportunity. Can you first speak a bit about, like, let's say, merchant attrition because of, let's say, competition coming up as far as our adhikaris are concerned?
Yeah, let me take that. So I think merchant attrition is there, of course, because I mean, ever since, for example, we brought down the entry barriers. So it's easy to get in, and therefore, initially for some entrepreneurs, it works, and for some it doesn't. So we do see some attrition initially once people join. Not all of them finally, continue to do the business forever. But we do not see any competitive impact leading to attrition.
And as far as, let's say, you said you see no competition. So question is, where all in India how would you kind of classify your merchant network? North, east, west, south? How is it kind of skewed?
Yeah, so historically, because of historical reasons, we dominate in the north and east belt, which means, UP, Bihar. I mean, the Hindi belt, you can say. That's where the major domination is. And it was because of both. That's where the initial demand was. And that's where, we were initially focusing on. But otherwise, from a presence perspective, we are present pan-India. And now we are also strengthening the areas where initially we were not that dominant on, which means south and west is what we are kind of strengthening our distribution now.
Understood. And the question is, who all do you see anybody in the market doing or having the similar model competing with you?
Yeah, so as I said, there are players in the market who have a similar model in the sense that there is an entrepreneur who can provide services to the customer. So as I mentioned,
I'm focused on the fintech, rural fintech part.
So I think the rural part is where the things start to change, because there are a lot of assisted fintech business models out there, but more and more of them are largely focused on the remittance part of the business, and the remittance part of the business originates from urban. So few counters in few urban pockets do a lot of remittance business. That's how typically that business model works. Whereas our business model, while at a high level the business model seems similar, we are more rural focused, which means the kind of products and customers that we work with are more rural. So now there again, is there competition? Yes, the answer is there is competition. There is a lot of unorganized, not unorganized, but relatively smaller players trying to do things in few pockets, etc. We do see that. But do we see them as a major, force hitting us in our journey? The answer is no.
Understood. And you mentioned that the number of customers that have touched our 9 lakh adhikaris till date is about 20 crore unique customers. Now that's a pretty significant number if one were to kind of put that in perspective. If you guys just think about like the rural population of India, that would be like 70 crore type, and not everybody kind of goes to the merchant shop, right? So you're effectively saying that assuming a family, if let's say, assuming that let's say a household, there are 20 crore rural households in India, you're saying that one customer per household has effectively kind of gone visited some of these merchants.
Yeah, so if you pick up both semi-urban and rural, which means the blocks in the villages put together, that population is about 100 crores. And you're right, it's about 20 crores. And it is not necessarily one person per household, because there are customers where, for example, the woman in the house is getting some subsidy from the government, and the farmer himself is obviously using it. So there are also multiple members in the same household. It's not necessarily one per household.
So okay, understood. And as far as the product revenue streams are concerned, can you kind of give an idea in terms of what exactly is the service fee, what is the airtime fee? I'm not sure I got that correct.
Okay. So again, it depends upon service to service. But if we pick up our main service, which is APS, which is the leading service or the hook service, there are the value chain margins. There are that the issuing banks pays 50 bips to the acquiring bank, and that is also capped at some per transaction fee of 15 rupees. So that's the value chain margins, out of which minus the bank share, most of it comes to us, and out of it, most of it flows down to the channel. So we retain some anywhere between 20 to 40% of that value chain margin, depending upon service to service, right? The other larger, large service in terms of the number of transactions, not the value, is the mobile top-up, because it's like, again, a utility need. You need it every 4 weeks, etc. So that's also another where the value chain margins are very different. So here we're talking about 50 bips. There they go to about 200 to 300 bips, out of which, again, significant are passed on to the adhikaris.
So and wouldn't so you are and effectively, do you need a tie-up with the bank to administer some of these services?
Yes. We need a tie-up with the bank.
Which are these banks?
So we've tied up with the few acquiring banks. So acquiring banks help us access that product. So for example, if you pick up taking an example of an APS product, to access that product, as of today, you have to go through a bank as of today. So we work with multiple banks for us to be able to get access to that pipe.
But there would be a few ones leading the larger part of the throughput, right? Who are these banks? Who do we work with? Which are those banks?
So these are some of the private sector banks.
Understood.
I don't know whether it will be right for me to call out the names, etc. I don't know. There might be confidentiality clauses. So maybe I'm not very prepared to answer that right now because of that reason. But we do have a panel of banks with whom we work to provide these services.
But how do you decide, let's say, which customer to allocate to which bank?
So it depends. There are multiple factors here. The biggest being the quality of service. That's what we are really focused on. Yeah.
Understood. And when you say that, let's say you want one adhikari per 1,000 rural population, and given the fact that we already have large part of the rural population arriving at our branches, do you consider the need of actually adding these 1,000 adhikaris every day? I just want to kind of have some sense there.
Yeah, because, if you look at rural India, it's not just about density. It's also about, it's not just about how many population, right? It's also about the density, right? The density is really, really low. You have villages with 100 households, 200 households, right? Mm-hmm. Now, 100 households village, you may say, is there enough need? But there is a need when it comes to providing that access, right? So every adhikari may not be able to do that amount of business, so that market may not exist. But from a reach point of view, that is still needed. Right? So for a lot of these merchants, this is not core business, right? But still, this supplements to their earnings. And typically in a village of 100 households, typically there'll only be few merchants, and they will do everything that is needed, right? They are like multi-category goods and services merchants. They all go out once a week to our nearest blocks and buy products in the wholesale. There's no distribution there, etc. Right? So from a reach perspective, yes, that is still needed.
Understood. And my last question:
at an average level, it comes to 1,000 per one. At some places, it might be more. At some places, it might be one lesser.
And if we were to think about, let's say, last question, if we were to look at, let's say, the 9 lakh adhikaris that we have in these villages, how many villages do we cover? Because India has about 6 lakh villages.
So, we are still in the process of doing, accurate mapping on the village side. So our data team is working on those GIS tools to be able to accurate. But at a very high level, it seems like, we are there. We are 25% there. Again, it's not a very accurate number, but at a ballpark, this is what we believe in terms of our coverage today. In terms of per village, right? And then there are people in blocks and suburban areas of urban areas, etc. That's additional. So there's a long way to go still when it comes to coverage.
And my last, sorry for just adding another question, but how do you measure these 20 crore footfalls, unique customer footfalls? Like, there would be some unique identifier which allows you to say it's a unique customer.
Yeah, so again, it is product to product. And therefore, I said that it's an estimate because there are some estimates that we have to make to be able to arrive at this number.
And all of this money, how much of the transactions are happening on Jan Dhan accounts for these 20 crore customers? Are these primarily Jan Dhan?
We do not have data pertaining to this, but yes, that they are not primarily Jan Dhan, but Jan Dhan as a segment would be one of the largest segments within that.
Understood. But I would be very curious to know how we get to that 20 crore number, because it's actually an astounding number. No company of any particular size would ever reach to that large a base, frankly. So, all right. I think I'll come back in the queue. I can see a couple.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Chiku. Chiku, if you could please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Chiku, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm very delighted and very proud to be as a shareholder of Digispice Technology Limited. So my first question is that what are you guys wanted to build any product or in the process to build any product around e-rupee?
So, Kiki, to answer your question, it's very much on our radar, and we are actively participating in this. And we will surely be, I would say we'll surely be having a product around e-rupee. Okay. I think from a time perspective, we will not be able to comment whether it is here and now. It will take a couple of quarters.
Okay.
Because that ecosystem is still evolving.
Yes. My second question is, when you guys will start saving account opening or insurance service to our adhikaris?
We'll keep you updated, we'll keep the shareholders updated on this. We are actively working towards these.
Okay, sir. Then my third question is around digital branch service.
Mm-hmm.
So, on 26th of January, our chairman started, digital branch service in something like Hyderabad area. So I just wanted to know more about it.
Sanjeev, would you like to talk about it?
So I think I don't know where this is coming about Hyderabad. This,
sir. Yes, sir. Sorry.
So the point is about, is your point referring to we getting into Spice Money digital branches? Is this the point?
Yes, sir. Spice Money branches.
So that's part of a network plan. We intend to have something, but then we'll keep you posted.
Okay, sir. It's just like Fino Payment Bank branch. So I think that way that, okay, Spice Money also want to start this.
Sure.
Okay. Sir, and my last question is, sir, why promoter are selling their stake from last 4 quarter? Promoter stakes are from last 4 quarter are decreasing. despite a very growing business, why promoters are selling their stake?
Well, I am not very sure if that's true.
No, sir. Okay, sir. I think I should recheck it. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll take the next question from the line of. We'll take the next question from the line of Jeevan Singh. Jeevan, can you please unmute yourself? Thank you.
Hi guys, this is Jeevan. First of all, this excellent result. If you talk about the Spice Money segment, which is really good, I appreciate. Well done. And I guess we are more focusing on the Spice Money thing, right? And our entire team is working on Spice Money. Are we just only one question? Are we focusing on other segment, digital? Because before Spice Money, this Digispice is kind of digital company, right? And now we can see that all the companies are going to digital, and there are so much scope in digital, and we have expertise and experience. So anything which we are doing, or because if I go to the site, Digispice site, there's little on Spice Money, everything is on digital. So, but results showing different. So, what's our strategy in future? Are we still fintech or some telecom equipment company? Because as BSC showing as telecom equipment, which is no more, I guess. So, what's our plan for next maybe 2 or 3 years? Thank you.
Even thanks for your question. So even first of all, we are not a telecom equipment company. We were as Digispice Technologies. Before that, it was known as Spice Mobility. So we were into hardware business, which means we were selling mobile phones. And if you recall, Spice Mobile was a brand. So that business, so the Digispice did go through its own transformation journey for the last, and it's been almost through for the last couple of years. We've been focused on the new businesses. So I think that is the historical context. I think this recategorization in BSC, we will have to pick up and get it done. So I think right now, just please ignore it. We are not into telecom equipment. When it comes to digital, Spice Money is also a digital business, and it has been born out of the digital technologies business. So going a couple of years back, 2-3 years back, Spice Money was one of the business units within Digispice, and we carved it out separately, branded it separately, put a team behind it because we saw a larger opportunity to go deeper in this. So yes, it is a digital business. So it's not like we are not into a digital business. Coming back to the core businesses of Digispice, when you talk about digital for enterprises, so Digispice is basically serving in Spice Money, we are creating our own customers using digital. In Digispice, we are serving enterprises with digital technologies. And within that, there are 2 categories. One of them is telecom, and the other is other enterprises. In telecom, we have been largely providing value-added services, and somehow that business globally, telecom value-added services has not been growing. It has been declining, and we have been part of that. And there, within that area, we've been trying to work on digital propositions for telcos. So again, a nascent business there, but we are seeing growth in digital telco revenues as part of our overall telco. The overall traditional telco is not growing, and we've called it out in our previous presentation. I'll request you to go through that. In the enterprise side of the business, our intent is to grow with the Corero platform, which is something that we've launched, and it has got its initial tractions. It will take time to move forward.
Because the thing is that from the investor point of view, if you look into the site or some BSC or somewhere, we should see the real value. Because the Spice Money is kind of for me, it's a core services. Something as a core and top of your company revenue, right? So it's kind of a high revenue side, right? So this should be our priority, I guess, and we should displace large amount of stuff for Spice Money in our website so that we can promote things, and on the BSC side so that we can get the better valuation, not from the telecom area.
Good. Understood, Jeevan. We are taking this as a feedback, and we'll take steps towards this.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few questions in the chat, which the first one comes. It's a follow up from Pranav Mashruvada. He has asked, what would be Digispice's strategy in bettering financial performance and profitability?
So I think our current strategy is to build value, to grow value by growing the rural fintech business, which is Spice Money, and then there are various components within that. So I think that's our key strategic intent, to grow value for shareholders.
Then we have a question from Binesh Vijayan. He asks, how much is the revenue contribution by Corero and how much is the targeted growth?
Okay. So as I explained earlier, Corero is at an early stage. I think we've reached to a double-digit contribution of Corero within the overall enterprise business, but still at early stages.
All right. Thank you. That was the last question, and I would now like to hand the floor over to the management for their closing comments. Over to you, sir.
So just one clarification if you want to issue, and we can, not a single share has been sold by the promoter. So this is a clarification if you want to issue. That there was a question on sale of stake by promoter. So that's a clarification we want to issue.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the end of the call, and you may please now disconnect your lines. Thank you.